techniques that were used in Fairbanks gold mines here during the gold rush. And the gold rush here in town was pretty short-lived, about 1905 to 19...
For the wheelbarrow, the bucket to the wheelbarrow to the pile. Why do they dig in the wintertime? Money. They save money on timber and shoring by using the strength of it. So they cover it up and keep it cool. They'll wash that big pile 12, 15 hours a day because we average 20 hours of daylight for our summers. Sunglasses on the head. Turn to the right. We're going to meet Tim now. This is my favorite spot because it's nice.
A nice bunch, Earl. All right. Well, my name is Tim. I'm here to share with you a little bit about how they did tunnel and drift mining back in the old days. As you probably heard mentioned by now, the miners around here spent their winters digging. They would begin by digging shafts straight down until they hit bedrock. Now, behind me here you can see just what the local bedrock looks like. The bedrock is settled down below here. It forms a distinctive line that sort of goes up this way, goes down over there. Can everyone see that line? Up here anyway. Now for those of you in the back, the same types of formations may be more easily visible for you on that far face back there. I believe we have lit up for you right now. As well as perhaps this face directly over here. Now, when those miners were digging these tunnels, what they were looking for was, of course, gold. And as they knew, gold is extremely dense and heavy. Most of you of it on the TV screens right about now. Now, don't let it fool you though into thinking that it's gold, because it isn't. It's basically just a decomposed, broken up bedrock, just like the stuff I pointed at over there. But just as busy, and especially more common, was the solo operator, the self-employed do-it-yourselfer, the single Alaskan bachelor miner, the lone man seeking his fortune on the last frontier. Here I'm referring to the quintessential Alaskan sourdough miner. Here we present you one such typical homestead. The sourdough miner would seek out a creek that had two important criteria. The first was an abundance of timber nearby. The second was at least a suggestion of there being gold in the creek. Of course, the timber was necessary to help build and to heat their homes, which were often built directly into a south-facing hillside for better warmth and insulation. The water was, of course, necessary for drinking and cleaning and as a means to pamper the gold. It was efficient for them to construct a portable sluice box with which they would work these creeks prospecting for gold, and sometimes they'd get quite lucky. They'd hit the jackpot and strike it rich. Usually, however, they would lose their shirts, and hence emerged the reference of the Alaskan sourdough miner as being sour in Alaska with no dough to get out. It was often much more lucrative for those independent miners to instead spend their winter times fur trapping and trading. To the bottom of the shafts here, and another two to four men up top stockpiling the material, keeping the fires burning, the equipment running, and so forth. Now remember, these miners would only dig in the winter time. That's for safety purposes. We're talking about dealing with frozen permafrost here. If it's allowed to warm up and thaw out, it essentially just turns into a bunch of mud, and you got a great risk of cave-ins that way. So when the summer times would come, they'd seal these shafts off to keep it nice and cool down there. they'd proceed to wash through all the material that they'd excavated throughout the winters. This area here is called a wash zone. At the bottom of these shafts, they'd have a loaded ore car, just like the one I showed you in the tunnel. Lowering one of these iron muck buckets down the shafts, they'd unload the ore cars into the buckets, then hoist the buckets back up, run them along these cables here, like you see, up to that pole, called the gen pole, where the buckets would catch, swivel, dump their load. They then let them come coasting back down empty to bang into these logs here and be reset for the next load. Just about something anyway, like that, but all winter long. Now therefore those
hard rock miners, looking for that precious vein of gold-bearing ore, the lode deposit. Placer mining like this is quite a bit different. Basically the same gold, but only after eons of erosion and the other awesome forces of nature have crushed the gold out of the ore veins in the mountain forest, eventually concentrating that gold in amongst the sands and gravels of the stream bed at the mountain base. These meandering placer gold deposits, or pay streaks, are where we find the pay dirt. Sweet little pile of pay dirt behind the excavator. 100 more of the same dirt in the bucket already. To separate the gold from the dirt, if you've got a good sluice box, just add water. You never hear a placer miner complaining when it's raining. We can't do this without water. Sticking out over the edge of the cut bank, that wouldn't shoot as a waterway or flume. The other end comes out of the bottom of about a 20,000-gallon earthen holding pond. Simple gate in between. Mackenzie to work the gate for us here this afternoon. Born and raised Alaskan. In fact, he was born at home. Fourth full summer here at the Elderado. Took a year off. We welcome her back to the Elderado. She's a good hand.
Give her a hand. She's a hard-working gal.
Mackenzie gets the water going with the excavator, dribble in the pay dirt. Water carries the dirt into the box. Over the tops of these primary gold traps, the riffles. Two distinct different sorts of riffles. Angle iron riffle from the top of the box down. Expanded metal riffle from the bottom up. All of them work the same. The smaller riffle at the lower end of the box is our last chance to catch the smaller pieces of gold. So we're going to dump the dirt in the water at one end. Count on the water to carry almost everything of little or no value, the tailings, out the other end into the settling pond. We recycle the water from the settling pond by pumping it right back to the holding pond. The heavier minerals, including the gold, get stuck in the sluice. So all of the dirt in this box right now is a concentrate. Unlikely for gold to be up on top of the concentrate. That gold is so heavy, combined with the ripple effect of water you'll see, that heavy gold is bound for the deepest part of the sluice box, where we've got another gold trap waiting. The first miners in history were using sheepskin rods, horsehair mats, inch-thick burlap weave has been tried. Today, AstroTurf to hold.
Ta-da! I feel just like Vanna White.
The AstroTurf lines the entire